Hey, it's 10 o'clock Thursday evening on the East Coast, 7 on the West Coast, and we are the Reformers, and it has been a hell of a week and a hell of a day. So I don't know what tomorrow brings, but we're going to kind of back up. We're going to talk about, well, first thing we're talking about is Kristi Noem. So she was fired today. So this was, I saw this like in real time. So this was my screenshot of which she was fired. And I think what's kind of, I'm going to play a little video. Where are you here? This one, hold on.
Wait, hold on. Jake. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. We're not going to listen? Okay, I'm sorry. My control room just says that Kristi Noem is live right now talking in Nashville. I'm sorry to interrupt you. She's talking about DHS policy. I think we should dip in for a moment. So
just to set this up, they already announced she was fired, that Trump fired her. And she's speaking at this event as if she wasn't. So I don't know.
And see if she addresses the fact that she's been fired.
Maintain our electrical grid and our critical infrastructure such as water and systems that we rely on every day to help the American people be safe and to still have their way of life. We also have CISA, which some of you may have worked with them, which is our cybersecurity agency, which goes out and not only hunts down bad actors that would attack us on our cyber systems, but also gives us mitigation measures. As long as human nature is fallen, we will need brave men and women who step up and serve and enforce our rights and our laws and our values. And that's what
it is not clear right now whether the secretary knows she's been fired. I'm not sure if she started speaking. I'm serious. Before or after the president sent out this Truth Social note, or whether he alerted her ahead of time. I don't know. I just don't know.
Neither.
But I will. I'll read you, just for everyone's edification, what the president said on Truth Social. Somebody give me a time check on when this.
Which is a marked change from the first.
Sorry, this is funny though.
I'm not sure if she started speaking. I'm serious. Before or after the president sent out this Truth Social note, or whether he alerted her ahead of time. I don't know. I just don't know.
Neither.
But I will. I'll read you, just for everyone's edification, what the president said on Truth Social.
Oh, you know what? I think
somebody give me a time check on when this.
Yeah.
So it turns out.
Hold on, Jake,
it turns out
Jake.
that it was definitely announced that she was fired before this event, before this was airing. So, I mean,
but did she know that?
That's not. I don't think that's entirely clear. Yeah, I don't think that's entirely clear. So I don't know. I mean,
she looks pretty unfazed, for somebody who was just told she lost her job.
But can she show any emotion with the amount of
she's like,
in her face?
People are dying on her watch, and she's calling them terrorists, and she's like, "Oh, what's for tea? Like, what are we having?"
Casey, I think you have to ask Corey Lewandowski that question.
Her side piece. I call him her side piece. They're gonna miss that jet.
Yeah.
Is it official? Is he out too?
Right? So his was a temporary assignment. I forget what it's called.
I thought he was volunteering. I thought he wasn't even getting paid. Like, I thought he was doing a lot of.
I think he gets paid, but it's not a real title
outside of his job, because she was saying he does it for the love of the American people. And I was like, he's getting paid somewhere else, because nobody can tolerate Kristi Noem for that long, like, of a period of time, unless they're being paid. I refuse to believe.
This is kind of like a flashback to Trump 1.0, right? I mean, when he was firing people by, a Twitter post. I think what was Rex Tillerson, like the first one? Remember Rex Tillerson? Remember he was a Secretary of State, the Exxon guy, I think.
Right.
And I think he was fired by tweet. A bunch of people were back in 2017, but they weren't sure. Is this official? Is it not official? What's going on? Well, Kristi, bye.
But okay, guys, let's see this hearing with Tillis. This was like everything to me.
Mm-hmm. I've just been told, fortunately, in about a week and a half, we're going to get a plaque on the wall over the Capitol, thanking the Capitol police officers and all the agencies that responded on January 6th. All those thugs have actually been pardoned, and yet we haven't thanked the Capitol police officers for their work here. So when I say I'm unapologetically pro-law enforcement, you can count in every single sworn officer in Homeland Security. So why am I disappointed with Secretary Noem? because we're not going after enough people who did this damage at the expense of running numbers that Stephen Miller wants out of the White House. We just want numbers. We want 1,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 9,000 a day, because numbers matter, right? No, they don't matter. Quality matters, not quantity, quality. And what we've seen is a disaster. Under your leadership, Ms. Nome, a disaster. What we've seen is innocent people getting detained that turn out are American citizens. I could talk about the culture that's been created here with Stephen Miller aiding and abetting. I heard first reports that he was the one that said it was a domestic terrorist situation where 2 people lost their lives in Minneapolis. I've heard that report. Maybe you can refute it. I don't know that we'll have time for you to respond because I'm giving you a performance evaluation here. I'm not looking for a response. And I'm saying, Ms. Nome, that time after time after time I've been disappointed. But before I get back to looking at the vicious people that did this damage to these families, I want to talk a minute about FEMA. You have a policy right now that anything over $100,000 has to go through your desk for approval. I asked my staff, because I'm a management consultant, I don't try to do cheap shots in here, but the facts do not lie. This is your administration for FEMA response. This is President Trump's first administration. Which one would you like to have? If you're a state that has a $60 billion disaster, your biggest disaster in South Dakota that I can tell that when you were an elected official was about $500 million. So 1/100th of this single storm where thousands of people are hurting in North Carolina and you're just barely catching up. This is what competent FEMA leadership looks like. This is what incompetent FEMA leadership looks like. And people are hurting in Western North Carolina from the most significant storm they've ever experienced. This is what we need more of. I'm convinced you can't do it. If you're requesting a review of $100,000 and up, then it begs the question, why? Why would you be involved in that? Why would that be a policy?
Senator,
no.
That $100,000 only had to do.
And I will hold the clock until I finish.
I love that was like, no, it was a question, but I don't want your answer. And he was like grilling the shit out of her. So begs the question, do we know why she was fired?
Because she answered incorrectly to Senator Kennedy's question about the ad campaign.
Yes. Yeah.
And that made Trump look bad because she should have just said it was my fault. And she said that he approved it.
Yep.
But one thing about Senator Tillis, let's not give him any credit at all. Because why
he's on his way out the door.
Why was he the only one to do that? Because he's leaving.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and that's the I just saw Jeff Flake on like Colbert last week or something. It's like that Republicans gain a spine when they leave office. And the what should be the measure is who's willing to stand up to Trump while you're in office, while you're running for re-election. And that is not Senator Tillis.
Also, he voted to confirm her.
Thank you, Adam. You're always bringing back those confirmations because you know what? That was also a very difficult time. I went through some of the videos today because I was pulling something in to show what Mark Wayne Mullen had said about Pete Hegseth, and I was like, man, those like 2 or 3 weeks, I think I trauma blocked that whole thing. That was a nightmare. So like at any point, we should be bringing that back up because they all were in on this. Like every single time, especially Bill, what's his face, the Louisiana guy, Bill Cassidy, the doctor that's like, oh yeah, RFK Jr. And now he's like all upset about it. And I'm like, sir, we had discussions about why you should not put a anti-vax man in as head of the whole health and human services department. That shouldn't need to be said. But anyway, so I don't feel bad for Kristi Noem at all either because she I think is probably going to enjoy her new Shield of America job. She's going to get a lot less hate and she's probably going to do the same.
What is that job?
No, we don't know because it was created to I just think that Trump buys people off. Because like, his ego, like Chris said, can't handle stuff like this, right? And so of course he had to move her. He had to it had to look punitive but not punitive. And so this is how he does it. But then he like gives you something in the end, and it's like, oh well, you're gonna have to leave this, but we'll give you this like brand new like envoy ship at this Shields of America thing that we're gonna do here with Latino people. And that's what he said.
One more thing before we get to that, because I think Chris Q is going to educate us on what in the world that new position is, because I have no idea.
Yeah.
One last thing on Tillis, right? You might have thought that Tillis would have learned not to support an unqualified nominee for a cabinet level position, especially one that's such as important like Department of Homeland Security. Guess what he did this afternoon for Markwayne Mullin? He tweeted out that he's going to support Markwayne Mullin because he's a great choice. What are we doing? Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program.
So the promotion to envoy to the Shield of America, it sounds ridiculous, but it could have really devastating consequences.
100%.
Not in Noam's participation, but in the project in general. And this is a summit that is being held in Miami on Saturday. And currently there are 13 Latin American leaders that are part of it. And of course, all part of the Bowing Down to Trump Club. And it is part of the ridiculously named Donroe Doctrine of reinventing the Monroe Doctrine of saying that, which I think it's hilarious that that is the name of it, but that we have sole ownership of any foreign relations in this entire hemisphere, that anything that happens basically has to go through us, and that in particular, no other power in the world can have any influence in what happens in this entire hemisphere except the United States. So that is frightening, considering who we are right now.
Yeah.
So Markwayne Mullin was tapped to be her replacement, which I think it's important for everybody to know that the policy is still the same. Kristi Noem did not get fired for her cruelty, for her, for the way she's handled
incompetence.
She got fired for her outrageous budget. I'm sure the airplane had the jet had something to do with it too, that budget. But anyway, Markwayne Mullin is no better of a person, that's for sure. And he is hot-tempered. So we'll see what happens. But here he is on the equity box doing a
rundown of his resume.
What's that?
Want to do a rundown of his resume?
Go for it.
So he is the only senator that does not have even a bachelor's degree. He was a business owner that had a plumbing company that he took over for his father, and that somehow spun that into he's now worth over $30 million, which that's a lot of plumbing.
That's stock trade too, but yeah.
Yeah, well, but so
there's a toilet joke to be made there, but go on.
He is an MMA fighter who has a total of 3 MMA bouts under his belt, who famously wanted to fight a labor leader during a Senate hearing that had to be talked down by Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I remember.
Really, really egregiously, that he was 100% going to fight this man on this committee floor. He has no relevant experience whatsoever in terms of DHS. What he does have is he was one of the congresspeople that was advocating for eliminating Trump's impeachments from the congressional record. And so that is his major qualification, is being a Trump sycophant.
I had to dig through all of my Mark Wayne Mullen stuff. And I told you I found the clip of him defending drunk senators. And he's like, everybody gets drunk and comes and votes at night. Like, what is your problem? Like, Pete Heist, that's fine. That was like one of his all-star moments. And then also I made a video on this, but I didn't have time to edit it. But like, he made a big fuss about this book, Our Skin, which we have at home. And I want you to know, like, the opening is, we all have skin. It comes in different colors. What is the color of your skin?
Didn't he want to ban that book?
Yes. He was like, it's a weapon. And it's like, what do you love about your skin? It's like the nicest book. My kids love this book. And like, we've read it forever now. And so I was offended when that came out, because I was like, sir, I know better, because we have that. But then also the other day, he was interviewed. I don't know if y'all saw this, but they were asking him about the, regime change in Iran. And he's like, look, all we did was take out somebody who was like an illegitimate president. And so then the follow-up question from the press was like, okay, well, was his VP duly elected? And his response was like, I don't know how their elections work. I'm not kidding. Like, that is like verbatim. You can go look in my video or in my threads. He's like, I don't know how it works. And I'm like, I get it. Like, we've had past administrations that had agendas, but at least they did understand geopolitics. Like, they did understand things. They might have been evil people, but Cheney knew what he was doing, right? And would never stand in front of the press and be like, I don't know how Iran does things. We just bombed them. What? Like that, this is, to me, one of the parts that's hard for me to reconcile when we look at like maybe more moderate Republicans, right? I'm not talking about the far right MAGA people. I'm talking about like just your moderate. How can you look at something like that and not be so embarrassed that these are supposed to be the people running this country, and they don't know anything about anything, and they're just out there running shit, and you're struggling day to day? Like, maybe you're having trouble paying rent. I can't buy a house. I don't know about you. The rest of us are all out here having difficult lives, and they're just making millions of dollars. Like, how'd you say, $30 million, this guy?
Yeah, his net worth is over $30 million right now.
Yeah, I'm sure that has nothing to do with the pay. Like, oh, I don't have the screenshot. Maybe Chris has one. I forgot to dump it in the thing. Sorry. But like, he was one of the people that invested in Raytheon before the Iran strike. Like, it was like on Friday or something.
Wonderful.
Like, the corruptness of this administration. Sorry, that was really bothersome to me, because I'm like, they're just getting rich.
I mean, there's a lot of things that show clearly that he is not qualified for this job, right? And that's concerning enough. But when you consider that the primary mission of DHS is what? To protect this nation against terrorist attacks, right? Now,
they are the terrorists.
Well, put that one aside for a minute. But do you guys have any idea what nation? This is a pop quiz. I'm sure you didn't know that there would be one, but here it is. Do you guys know by any chance which nation is purported to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world? Would that be, I don't know, Iran, perhaps? The country where we just attacked them and started a war against them?
Oh, it's not a trick question. Okay.
No, it is not a trick question. It is not a trick question. It is a very, Casey, you were like, well,
I was like, is he going to tell me it's Switzerland? I don't understand.
That's right. No. The country that our president just started an illegal war against is the largest sponsor of terrorism in the entire world. And we now have a guy who's supposed to protect us against the terrorist attacks from that nation, who has no effing clue as to how to do that. Oh, that's not a concern. Anybody else worried about that? I'm not. I feel perfectly fine. What about you guys?
I don't even think he knows who the VP was. Like, I don't think he knows anything about it. I don't think he could find it on a map. Like, I'm not entirely sure he knows that Iran and Iraq are two different countries. I'm serious. I'm not, like, it's not even a joke. I'm not 100% sure he does know.
You have the January 6th picture there. The unfortunate part about that is, like many Republicans, right after he and several people had said that he had been one of the people to form barricades, that he was actually trying to defend the chamber. He said right after that he, whether this is true or not, witnessed Ashley Babbitt being shot, that he realized that that the Capitol Police were correct, that they did the right thing. You know, in the immediate aftermath, he was saying the right things and he did the right things, and then completely flipped, like so many did.
So I think it's important to note this is Markwayne Mullin literally on the House floor. Like, he's hiding. There is actually video of him. Okay, so he was not being brave. He was kind of like waving some security, Capitol Police to the door, but he was not trying to help anybody. He was not.
Yeah, that is not a man on the front lines. That is
also
a man that pushes you in front of
exactly
the bullets.
And he talks. I think everyone needs to know he is not served in the military, which nothing's wrong with that. But he acts like he did. And
that's the thing.
So
MMA is what he says. You know, I'm an MMA fighter. Okay, well, with your 3 fights.
So to wrap it up here, Fetterman enters the chat here. The reporter says Fetterman says he's going to vote for you. So Fetterman has already spoken to Markwayne Mullin, saying he is going to vote to confirm him as DHS secretary. So Fetterman, good old Democrat there. He's, I have no words for this man. I'm going to tell you, Fetterman is going to be what they call people that are flipping sides. They're going to say, "Oh, you did a Fetterman." It's coming.
It's really worse than Cinema and Mansion, isn't it?
Yeah, he's becoming noun.
Fetterman right now, especially, is probably, and I was trying to think about this, I don't know if there is a more hated Democrat at this point, because he has somehow managed to, because Cinema and Manchin were not beloved by any means, but Fetterman is like the slander that I see. Not that it's not well deserved, I'm just saying it's pretty intense, but he remains unbothered by it. Although I'm not going to ever be able to let go of the fact that man wore a suit for the first time maybe ever in his life. To the State
instead
of
of dressing like a toddler. But anyway,
we won't get too far into Fetterman. Don't put on a suit or a tux for Trump. Don't let that be the one thing that you dress up for.
Yeah. I just want to say, and I will always say this every time we talk about Fetterman, he chased after a black man, unarmed black man with a rifle, just jogging through the neighborhood. So this was never an okay person. Okay. All right.
I never remembered that story either, which is crazy. I told you I don't remember anything.
I warned everybody. I did. I was like, this is not. Of course, when he was a nominee, I was like, okay, we need the seat. But before that, we were trying to tell folks.
Because when was it? 2022.
Yes. Yeah. He's not up until 28. He's, so he's, and I don't. Yeah. I don't see a scenario where he's reelected, even if he flips to being a Republican. I just don't see it. All right. So
also, just one last thing. Let's see how confident Mullins is. Let's see if he gives up his Senate seat for this confirmation.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point, because we get to he gets appointed first, right? But then eventually there's a runoff or in the general.
He was up for re-election.
Governor Stitt would appoint someone to replace him, and then there'd be a special election. But here's the thing.
No, it's not. It's a regular
one. Right?
Yeah, it's just a regular one.
Senate.
Senate. Okay, you're right. So, but here's the thing. Do you guys see a scenario where he isn't confirmed? I don't.
No.
He's going to get confirmed.
And I think he knows that. Trump my understanding is he already made calls to several senators and floated his name, and they said they would support him. So the big challenge is Rand Paul, who isn't he running that committee, the confirmation committee, and Markwayne Mullin said your neighbor needs to make a new appearance or some shit like that. You remember the neighbor that beat him up? So
right.
We'll see. All right.
But
so
isn't there an independent in Oklahoma that actually does pretty well? Am I confusing it with Nebraska, maybe. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws, hoping that.
I don't think Stitt and Trump have any love for each other. But Stitt will 100% nominate or support the Republican.
I'm looking forward to the election.
Okay,
maybe
gotcha.
I'm grasping at straws and thinking maybe
I wouldn't
an
mind
independent
if
might be
Kendra
able
Horn
to win.
came back. Kendra Horn could,
that'd be nice.
Make a nice appearance there. Okay, so you guys, I'm a little. was it Friday night or Saturday night?
It was Friday night going into Saturday. And I would like to point out that I don't understand why we can't have any conflicts at reasonable times in the fucking day, because it is always when East Coasters, most East Coasters are probably in bed, but it's always when I'm just about, because I'm I'm not an early to go to bed person. I'm a late night person, but I was like, I'm going to be in bed before 2 a.m. I'm going to be asleep. And then sure enough, it's like 1:40 or something like that, and that's like this. We start to hear the rumbling, and I'm like, you have to be.
I was on the West Coast and I fell asleep early, but I woke up to take a piss. I woke up to take a piss, and I sleep with my TV on, and I see the headline: U.S. and Israel carrying out strikes against Iran. And then that was it. I never went back to sleep.
I can't remember what I sent you, but
I started posting.
I think I just said, for fuck's sake. Like, I think I just sent a link.
At least and I were DMing each other. It was.
Yeah, I had insomnia, and I happened to see Chris's post, and I was like, oh, shit, we're at war with Iran. And he was a person.
That's right. You and I were chatting too, Lisa. That was the same night we were
Nobody
talking.
could sleep that night. Chris was informing all of us.
So this
got to go out on occasion. Once in a while, go out. I'm begging you all, please.
I do, but then I come home and my country goes to war without our permission. Like, I think if you can go out on the East Coast and come home, and then suddenly we're kidnapping sovereign leaders, or just bombing elementary schools. It's just awful.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just really took the air out of that, but
no. So. This is Donald Trump's post. I'm sorry it's so small, but I'm going to read it. Iran tried to interfere in 2020, 2024 elections to stop Trump, and now faces renewed war with the United States. Now, he always brings it back to election interference, and it's always a setup for federalizing the elections. I pointed this out, I posted this, but it's like always, like anytime there's a conflict, it's China, it's Russia, it's this. So I just wanted to make that small point here. And I also think, as we're starting this discussion, just honoring there are 6 families who are grieving. And honestly, it seems to be only us, the regular folks who are giving respects to these soldiers. It's like, can someone in the Trump administration,
No. Did you see the press conference? Did you see the press conference? How Caitlin Collins was saying how, we normally, when service members die, we give tribute, we cover it. And Pete Hegseth was like, stop putting it on the front page. And so Caitlin Collins was at the press conference asking KK Carolyn, like, well, what would you have us do? This is what we normally do. And she's like, well, we just expect you to not make Trump look bad and stop talking about this. But yeah, you can report on them, but don't report on them. It was a very confusing response. Oh, we have a clip. Perfect.
Fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through, or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step.
It's what Secretary Hegseth was complaining that it was front page news about these 6 service members who were killed.
That's not what the secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the secretary meant, and you know it. You know you are being disingenuous. There is not, we've never had a secretary of defense who cares more.
Drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it, the press only wants to make the president look bad. Yeah, as you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president.
The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact. Especially you. No, listen to me. Especially you and especially CNN. And the Secretary of Defense cares deeply about our war fighters and our men and women in uniform. He travels all across this country to meet with them, to connect with them, and your network has hardly ever probably reported on that. You also had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Chairman Kane, who's a brave patriot, standing alongside the secretary at the Pentagon this morning, again expressing his condolences to these families. And I just told you that the President of the United States will be attending their dignified transfer. So please,
That's not making the president look bad. That's showcasing that.
We expect you to cover that as you should. We expect you to cover that as you should, Caitlin. But you and your network know that you take every single thing this administration says and tries to use it to make the president look bad. That is an objectable fact.
I don't think covering troop deaths is trying to make.
If you're trying to argue right now that CNN's overwhelming coverage is not negative of President Donald Trump, I think the American people would tend to agree, and your ratings would tend to disagree with that as well.
I mean, she is so cringe.
I need to ask. I need to know, what pharmaceuticals does she take, Caitlin? Because the idea of sitting through that she's got a straight poker face on. And I get what she's doing, and it's really smart, because the staying calm, making them look like the people that are out of control, which they are, right? Like, exposing that is perfect. But I could never, the way that I could never sit through that without, her face is so punchable, number one. But number two, the idea that they have used our military as a way to enrich them, them personally and their friends. They're putting us and our military in harm's way. And these people were U.S. Reserve members. They were getting ready to come home. One of them is a mom to a fourth grader. She was a few days away from coming back. And the idea that they're saying that makes Trump look bad. Yeah, because he is. Because he is. We're just reporting the realities. And Chris talked about this with me, how every single member of the Trump administration has been trained to speak like this, with this kind of entitlement of how dare you question us, when that's literally your fucking job. You are the press secretary. We show up and ask you questions. But she has this constant, and it's not just her, but it's every member of the administration. Watch them. And they turn it around and they patronize you. They treat you like a child, but also they're abusive. So it's this weird, dissonance and cadence. So I don't know if anybody else, I know some of you are nodding your heads, but I don't know if anybody else out there that's watching this notices that. But I really do wonder if they just took them on a retreat and taught them how to talk this way.
I think they're emulating Trump. I think Trump speaks this way, but we're used to it. And then he has Trump still manages. This is not, me liking Trump, but he still he has charm sometimes. She has no charm. She has no bedside manner ever. She's just, and a lot of them, Hegseth is that way. It's always a condescending, statement. And I feel like their method is the louder I say it, the more forceful I say it. And they all say the most transparent, administration, the most transparent president. Pete Hegseth cares more than any other, secretary or defense secretary. They always use these crazy lies that
well, to be fair, it has worked, because they repeat it over and over and over. And I sent a video out today, I think I sent it to you too, that was a study that had been conducted that showed that people who watch Fox News, absolutely their views change. And then when you have them watch CNN or another channel for a month, their views start to change. They don't become liberal, but they change their feelings, conspiracy feelings about mail-in voting. But then after a month, if they switch back to Fox News, they begin to absorb all that fear and they switch back to their views. So it's absolutely the way that these people speak to them is impacting how these cultists, how these Republicans latch on to their message. So I think they know it works, and that's why they just keep doing it.
Yeah,
they're if we just keep screaming it, people will believe it.
Also, these people in the cabinet, they're speaking directly out and doing all these horrible things. They have nothing left to lose. If Trump goes down, they go down. So it's not even a question. It's not
self-preservation
about us questioning why are they doing this. We're past that point. They're all compromised. They're doing self-preservation right now. They're doing whatever they can to save themselves. They put flags at half-mast. I mean, within hours of Charlie Kirk dying. We just lost American service members. This is my father. This is my brother. This is my sister. My family is full of military veterans. I'm the only one of 4 siblings that did not go into the military. It is like my voice is wobbling saying this. It is so disgraceful what has been happening with our service members being killed in active duty in this war of choice. No respect given to them, no answers given to the American people, why any of this is happening. The atrocity that happened to a Marine veteran in chambers where a sitting senator broke his hand along with Capitol Police, and even possibly worse than that, were the 4-star generals sitting in that room with their backs turned to this Marine, and a woman screaming out, "What is wrong with you? You're robots, you're robots. Why won't you turn around and face this man? This man's arm was just broken." And none of them would. Rows of military generals, sheep at this point, that would not turn around to see this Marine whose arm was just broken. They would not face him. This is scary. This is frightening, what is happening to our military. The commander who was telling our active duty military that Trump was appointed by God to lead them into battle. And we, thank God, have a whistleblower that is trying to report this to higher command. What is happening? What is happening?
Yeah, that is scary. I think that we need more reporting on that. Because and you know, like, what are you required to put up with as an enlisted, you know, service member? You know, like, I don't think you should have to be subjected to religion, you know, that is, you know, like conspiracy theories and things like that. So I just think that's above the pale. But yeah, a few people reported on that. So let me put this up here. I wanted to show you guys. So these are my alerts. The day that so remember when they were saying very shortly after the attack, there were these rumors that the Ayatollah was taken out, the supreme leader was taken out. This is the reporting in the messages that I got on my phone, the alerts, and it ranged from he is dead, but a lot of them said Trump says he is dead. So it almost sounded, we weren't sure if he was dead or not, but I thought it was really interesting how some said he was dead without.
They weren't others, sure at first.
They weren't, but like but some were reporting, these are all within minutes of each other. And some of them were reporting it as if he was dead, like they knew he was dead. And others were saying Trump says, like the more careful ones were saying Trump says Iran's supreme leader is dead. So I think we have to.
That's a really good point also, because, you know, he's been reporting so much from Truth Social. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times they'll take that, like, and in the past, like, you know, they're like, we've gotten like rumors or sources say, or things like that, but that's how it would be portrayed. It would say sources say, or we've heard, a source close to Trump said, or like, you know, he made a comment. I don't know. Nobody's ever tweeted like this before, but whatever. But you would wait until the president actually issued a formal statement, like via the White House. And now the press is like, oh, if like Trump says it on Truth Social, it must be true. And they report it, like a lot of them report it as opposed to like Trump claims, or, you know, like via a Truth Social post. Like some of them did say that, like via, you know, that he fired Kristi Noem via Truth Social. You know, it's like, but it not But the problem is people who aren't paying attention or don't read the post are just seeing the headlines. And so they're believing that this is like legitimate, like that it's been issued legitimately or it's been done legitimately. So to your point, Chris, this is the problem because a lot of people don't read the full articles and they're just reading the headlines. And so now we have a problem because half of the media is just like, I mean, I guess whatever they're saying is surely it must be right. Like what, that's the exact opposite of what you should feel, by the way. Like if like anybody from the press is watching this, should be the opposite of that. Like if they're saying it, you should triple check it because it's probably wrong.
Give your highest scrutiny
Right.
scrutiny to everyone in the Trump administration.
If Donald is claiming that it's true, it's probably a lie. That's just
I don't
a pretty
understand. I thought that the president has a well-earned reputation for veracity. Is that not the case? Am I wrong?
No, that's the other timeline, unfortunately.
Okay. This I think this is the video. Let me
prevent World War III from happening.
So this is him saying this is his campaign in 2024, and then we're going to compare it.
We will stop it. You know, when crooked Hillary Clinton was running against me, she said, "Look at him, listen to him. He will start a war, a world war." We had no wars other than I defeated ISIS in its entirety, 100% of the ISIS caliber. Listen to his rhetoric. Listen to his horrible tone. I said that horrible tone is going to keep people from fighting us, and that's what happened. We had no wars. It's been 81 years since that happened for a president. No wars other than ending some wars that we're in.
So far, this war is wildly unpopular, even with the right. And I personally think this could be his undoing out of everything, because he definitely was promising peace, no wars. Here's a side-by-side, Trump 24, Trump now. And, basically saying, you're not going to have a war with me. I will stop the chaos in the Middle East. And where's that other one? He has bombed 7 countries.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
MAGA on Twitter, I know y'all are there and you've seen it. They are not pleased. They're none too pleased about this. They're very vocal in their opposition to this. Obviously not all of them, because he's always going to have his loyalists. But overall, they were already on the precipice with the Epstein stuff, right? Like they were really unhappy with that and felt like he hasn't been the transparent president that he said he would be. And now this is, it's really sent them over the edge. I don't know how we come back from this, or he does rather. I'm pretty excited that they won't.
My favorite one I want to read to you guys is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is just a little Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is a little clip of it. The Trump administration actually asked in a poll how many casualties voters were willing to accept in a war with Iran. Question mark, question mark, question mark. How about 0, you bunch of sick fucking liars? We voted for America first and 0 wars. Now, I know they're not friends right now, but
say what you will about her, and I don't like her and I don't trust her, but I am enjoying the fact that she is like out of fucks. She's just like, I'm out of Congress. I don't care.
That part of what we're seeing right now. Tucker Carlson, the decision to attack Iran is absolutely disgusting and evil. Andrew Tate, I don't know why he's in this list. I do not support war with Iran for Israel. Like, okay. And Alex Jones was reportedly fuming. So these are like, media figures on the right that people listen to. They have a big reach. I don't know. So it's not
the problem. So my only concern, and I don't think they'll do it with Marjorie Taylor Greene because I think she's pretty far gone. But what the Republicans seem to do so well, and what the Democrats have a hard time with, is they reel their people in and they unify them, even if they're out on the periphery. Like, right. This is why people can be completely in opposition to legislation, then all of a sudden 2 days later they're voting for it. This happens all the time where we hear them being outspoken. Now, I don't think that's the case with this, and also with the Epstein. Like, I see where they've done some spinning with that, because I've seen some people move back over and say, like, why won't you guys let it go? It's obviously a hoax, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, they're still pretty amped about this. But that's what I look for, right? Is I'm like, that's where I'm a little cautious because the Republicans have a history of finding a way to unify and getting all their people on the same page. I don't know how they would do that with this war in Iran, but maybe they'd say that the Epstein files are there, so they had to go in and like, you know what I mean? Like that might be the next like, oh, we had to go to sort things out. We had to go do this. Sorry.
Well, it's going to be real interesting the higher the gas prices climb, right?
Yeah.
I mean, last I checked, they were up about 22 cents this week.
Well, Trump's combating that by saying that we're going to have oil flowing from Venezuela real soon. That's his promise, real soon. It's right there with the healthcare plan. Like, I'm sure both of those
2 weeks,
things.
right?
Yes, it's coming.
Long as 2 weeks, and has the Earth's rotation around the sun slowed down to a grinding halt, where the 2 weeks takes what used to be, 10 years going around?
Careful,
I mean, it does.
You're talking science.
It does feel like hell. I don't know. But that's him saying that, I think, is a reflection of what you're saying. And see, this is why Republicans are already anticipating how it's going to be so unpopular when gas prices rise. So they're already putting little feelers and little promises out there of, oh, don't worry, the Venezuela stuff's coming. See, that's why we went in there, so we could get some oil. So don't worry, we're gonna help you with your gas prices. Sorry your groceries are so high, but we're gonna address that. Just wait. Hey, farmers, we got you. Just hold on, and I don't know how long they think that's going to last, but that's their plan at this point.
You mean the farmers whose businesses they've completely crushed by destroying their markets pretty much everywhere and, giving money to Argentina?
Yep.
By the way, how's that deal with China coming on that China was supposed to purchase X amount of soybeans? Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear much about that either. Also, kind of like the healthcare plan.
This war was to make money. I mean, I agree with a lot of people in that, it's serving as a deflection, right? I don't think that the main motivation was to distract from things, but I think that it helps their cause in cases of the Epstein temporarily, because it's something else to look at. It's like shiny object. Look at this. I don't think it's going to unify us as it has in times past, because we weren't attacked, because nothing happened to provoke it. They're going to try to backpedal and suggest or, claim and fearmonger the way that they always do. But I think for the most part, people are because we've gone through things like 9/11, that they can't do that effectively enough to make us see this as a warranted war. It looks like an overreach of power. And then as we continue to talk about these people that are making money, like the poly market bets that people are clearly using insider knowledge to make money from this, it's just more of the us versus them. It's just more of the 1% and the elites making money, and us out here struggling. And I don't see how Republicans, I don't see how they sell that, and I don't see why people would buy it, is my point. I agree. So this is all to say, I agree with you, Adam, especially as the gas prices go. That might just be it. We're done, and we're done.
Well, also remember, gas prices are going to go up. That means the price of everything else is going to go up as well.
100%. Well, and also, will we lose any more military members? Because service members are all, but that's also a non-negotiable for people. People do not, it's the same with immigration. When they see people tearing families apart, people don't like seeing that. When you see soldiers coming back in caskets, people don't. Everybody knows somebody that's in the military or has served in the military, has a connection to someone that's served in the military, and you just don't mess with them. And he's done this before. This isn't the first time. And also, Republicans have done this. Remember when Tommy Tuberville withheld the Senate confirmations? And that was a year or something. That was a long time that people couldn't PCS. That was crazy.
So this branding, that Department of War, which isn't a real department, but it's the Pentagon, Operation Epic Fury. Are they still calling it that? Because that came out the same day.
It was
so they obviously were ready.
The Epstein files. It's insane.
It's like high school incels are running our country. Because who else would effing name something like this? I saw that and I was like, you have to be kidding me.
So Adam mentioned gas
are on the move again with WTI. That's the U.S. benchmark just now hitting $81 per barrel for the first time since 2024, as traffic in the Strait of Hormuz is at an all but standstill. And that means that consumers can expect even higher gasoline prices on the horizon. RBOB, which is gasoline futures, is rising even faster than underlying crude, which we see in the gasoline crack spread, which is the differential between the price of oil and the price of petroleum products. Now, prices at the pump have shot up really quickly because there was some catching up to do between the wholesale and pump prices even prior to the weekend. And now, if Brent should hit $100 per barrel, which is a number that many Wall Street analysts say is certainly a possibility, Patrick DeHaan of Gas Buddy puts the national average at $3.65. Now, it's also important here to watch diesel. It's often called the workhorse of the economy since it powers trucks and trains, meaning it's essentially a tax on consumers. And even though the U.S. is the largest oil producer, a lot of that is what's known as light crude. But for some of our diesel, we need heavy crude, which can come from the Middle East. So the disruption in the Strait is also impacting prices here. And as you noted, Chris, this is becoming a big headache ahead of the midterm elections. Gas prices is something that everyone is hyper aware of.
So,
by the way, they should stop fat shaming the crude. Stop fat shaming the crude.
Listen, a couple of days during his State of the Union, or every time he speaks, he talks about cheap gas. Gas is going cheaper. And that talking point is poof, gone. At least for the foreseeable future. And also his timing on the war has evolved. Remember, it was 1 week. Now it's 4 weeks. Raise your hand if you really believe it's going to be 4 weeks. Like, honestly, it's not. It's I say a better part of a year at minimum. It could
they already upped that to 8 weeks.
Huh?
They already upped that to 8 weeks.
It's not going to be 8 weeks.
No.
I mean, have you seen the videos of the underground, ginormous cave systems? I mean, Iran has thousands of drones. They can keep this going for a long time. And if they do close the Strait of Hormuz, and I don't think that they will, but if they were, the disruption worldwide, already all of the ships that are backed up, if they were to start hitting any of those ships or anybody else by accident, or any of that were to happen, just the instability worldwide of oil and gas is just catastrophic, that the United States of America started for no reason whatsoever.
So did you guys catch this where, the skiff at Mar-a-Lago was some drapes and, I don't know what else. To me, it looks like a home theater. I don't know what it really was.
It's a blanket fort.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So meanwhile, he's having $1 million a plate fundraisers in his Mar-a-Lago ballroom. So check this out. Hold on. What's happening here? I'm having a little technical difficulty. Okay, let's try it again.
That sounded like when I go to work every day.
So gross.
Put your hands up. I'm gonna push you. You're gonna push them down.
So while people are dying, and you can see he's wearing the same hat
and hat.
Skiff.
He gave his speech, right? He gave his speech after this or before this, who knows? And then he went back into the party. which I would like to remind people, I believe it was what, $1 million a plate.
It was $1 million a plate.
Insane. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like,
And Susie Wiles, I mean, she was wearing an Apple Watch. These are the most unsecure, unserious people on the planet.
Yeah.
They're just so compromised in these meetings and everything that they do. Anybody can just get their information, everything that's going on in these meetings as it is.
It looks like and I've said this a bunch of times, but I really can't not see it. It looks like the check-in facilities of a very low grade convention center or prom, or like a middle school prom. Like they put up those risers, those curtains, and you check in with your chaperones. And guess what? Those aren't secure. Like, you don't want to be having top secret conversations at a prom. That's what this looks like. And it's embarrassing. And I don't understand if the MAGA cult has a kink for embarrassment or being embarrassed. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, like, the idea that they threw already a Great Gatsby party, like, that was also wildly inappropriate. Like, just the fact that most of this is being done at Mar-a-Lago is already inappropriate. I think it's because we're like 10 years out from when this originally started, when he first took office, and this idea that he was going to not be at the White House regularly.
Yeah.
That was just not done before, like, to that degree.
Well, think about what's happening here. There's this faux skiff, and you have hundreds of people in an adjacent room on the property. God knows. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's nowhere near insecure on any at least if you did it in your own house, maybe nobody's there besides you. I mean, this is like insane.
Should have gone to the obviously very secure Mar-a-Lago bathroom where they kept the classified documents that he stole. I mean, maybe that would have been better.
Yeah,
that was crazy too. Like, that, I forgot about that. Right. Like, he had all those documents just in a random bathroom, guest bathroom. People were going through file boxes. I don't know. It just, the whole thing is like, he wants to be Obama so bad. He's just desperate. He's desperate to get that image, like, of when he got Osama bin Laden. That's really what we're having to suffer through all this, is because Trump has the ego, the fragile ego, and he wants to be remembered as the greatest, most powerful president. But the more he works at it, the worse. I mean, he really is going to be the absolute worst president in the history of presidents, and he's going to be regarded as that. It's going to be studied in textbooks, and they're going to put this picture in there. It's so ridiculous. It's just, it's like, I don't know. It's like if you went into like a residential facility for senior citizens that have dementia. This is what it would look like. It's somebody reenacting their glory days. That's what's happening here. It's sad.
It very much reminds me of the Mark Burnett story of having to create the fiction of him being a major business tycoon for the show The Apprentice, because that wasn't the reality that he found.
Yeah.
Like everything is staged for the camera. Nothing is truly reality.
Which is why I don't watch reality television. But that's another kettle of fish. I think we lost Casey. Casey,
no,
come back to us.
I'm here. I just flipped over to Instagram because I realized, because I'm on my laptop, I can't go back and forth between them without hopping over. I just wanted to tell everybody that I wouldn't be able to see their comments. I was just going to let them know what I was doing. Sorry. Everybody on Instagram, if you're watching, hi, I can't, you have to come to YouTube for me to see the comments now. Normally I would, but my laptop I've done something to it that is rare, apparently, per the Apple service people, because it's been there 3 times now. I don't know what's wrong with it.
But much more than the optics of this is the substance of it, that there is a reason why the United States has not engaged in a war with Iran, or any Western powers engaged in a war with Iran for all these years. And the just overconfident bravado of them to think that this is going to work out well for them, and the strategic nightmare that this is going to become, as you have now taken this country and put it on its back foot where it has nothing to lose. Already, Iran has targeted 11 countries in retaliation. And what is to stop them from doing absolutely anything at this point? They truly have absolutely nothing to lose. And it's not truly a war. I think characterizing it that way is not appropriate. It is, and this is not in defense of the Iranian regime. The two things can be true at once. They can be horrible, and we can also have illegally attacked them for no reason whatsoever in violation of the entire world order that we established post World War II.
Right. And that's an important distinction to make, because they, saying that they've done all this horrific stuff, nobody's taking issue with that, right? Nobody is denying that Iran is at the center of a lot of atrocities. But what did they do to us to provoke our entrance that meets the criteria our country and our constitution have, not even any of the world order, what we have set up in place, and they're manipulating that to make it look like it's justified. But at this point, people have been through enough legitimate presidents who have legitimate foreign policy that they recognize that this is different.
One last note.
And they understand that. And I also want to say really quick, I'm curious what happens, because that we have part of the people who are doing this because it absolutely, they feel like is going to benefit them economically, right? So we have that group. And then we also have the group of the holy war kind of.
We're doing this to bring back Jesus.
Right, the fanatics.
Right. And so right now, they're mutually they're in mutual agreement of what they're doing. It works for both of those people, their groups. What happens when they start to differ in terms of their end goal? What's that going to look like for us as well, right? So as a country, because they're unified right now, but will they always be unified? Because the holy war people have a very specific and very directed focus on this. And if you look at somebody like Mike Johnson, and I say this probably once alive, is that if you look at JD Vance, to me, he is nowhere near as dangerous as somebody like Mike Johnson, because Mike Johnson's crazy for free. He believes all this. He's not bought. This is a part of his faith and his religion that he's made up. I don't know, because he's reading some kind of different Christian Bible than I am. And they're going to bring about end times. This is what they're going to do. So he's not in service really to Trump as so much as Trump is a vessel for him to get to where he wants to be. And when that no longer serves him and their people, what does that look like? I'm just curious. I feel like they're not always going to be aligned.
Mike Huckabee, another adherent to this philosophy, who is the ambassador to Israel.
Yes. Just wonderful thinking about that. How a man that basically is hoping for the destruction of Israel because he wants to bring about the
second coming.
The second coming, yeah.
Yeah, so, and funny, somebody on Threads was like, it's really weird to me that they're so in a rush to bring up about the end of times. Don't they know they're going to be roasting in hell? And I was like, that's actually they're just racing to get into purgatory or hell, depending on what your faith is.
So, there hasn't been any coherent message on or strategy on why we went to war with Iran. And I do call it a war because we are attacking another country and they're attacking other countries as well. But
20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one.
That is simply not true. The administration has presented no evidence to back up their claims of an imminent threat, not the missiles and certainly not the nuclear weapon. We have a very good idea of what Iran has, and the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, has helped certify that. And we know how much uranium they have, in particular, how much 60% enriched uranium they have. And that's the stuff they would use to make a bomb, the core of a bomb. They could take some of that material, put it back into centrifuges, wouldn't take that many, a couple of hundred centrifuges, and in about a week or two, they could have enough material for a nuclear bomb. And people often confuse this, a material for a bomb and a bomb. But the material is the hardest part of making a bomb, but it's just the first step. Then you have to turn that enriched uranium, 90% enriched uranium, into a metal. You have to shape it into the components of the bomb. You have to assemble the bomb. You have to have a bomb design. Iran probably has that. They probably got it from A.Q. Khan of Pakistan. And then you have to test that weapon. And that's a necessary step. For example, North Korea, their first nuclear test was a fizzle, didn't work. They had to test it again. And then you'd have a crude bomb. If you want to put it on a warhead, that's months more of work. But all of that just to make a bomb would take several months of work, even if they were doing it in parallel with their enrichment process. So 2 weeks, no way.
I also think that's a really good point, the comparison to North Korea. You know how they did, manufacture a nuclear warhead. They were testing rockets and all this stuff like way before. There were a lot of signs, and it was making the news like nightly. And Iran not so much. So, and I thought we were supposed to have destroyed their capabilities a few months ago, according to Donald Trump himself. So,
but I think Lisa's right on this though. Like the problem is like desperation is going to outplay weapons. Like at some point, like, right. Like, cause we understand that like, they don't have all the highest tech stuff, right? Like we've put gazillions of dollars into our military, the detriment of our schools. And so this, like, we know that, but at some point, like, what have we learned even in like biblical stories, right? Like, it's not always about who's got the most strength. It's about the people that have the most like passion or the like, whatever. And like, not again, I'm not defending it or like glorifying it, but like they're pissed. Like they're not like, it's not like us in what's happening here where we're a country divided and like they're fighting for their lives. Like, and that leads to desperation, and desperate people do things that you can't always anticipate or fight off.
And in the long history of us creating our own supervillains, who started Iran's nuclear program?
Oh my God. No.
We did. We started it under Eisenhower in the
Look, that's the only part that's positive about this is that like every time something like this happens, it opens
we started their nuclear program.
It opens that knowledge, right? Like it opens the conversation to say, hey, like, why don't you Google Eisenhower? Like, why don't you get back to that administration and like talk about our involvement, like, and see what our CIA did, like leading up, like just go see what they did.
And of course, we took the steps that led to the current Ayatollah regime in Iran. So, yeah.
Yeah. We are all up in there. That's not talked about enough, by the way. Like it when people get frustrated with me about my, like, it's not that I don't care about my country, but it's just like when you start learning about all the icky stuff that we've done and what we've created, it's like, it's hard to be like proud. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got like our history domestically that's not great. And then you also have our entanglements in foreign government. Like there's just a lot of badness. And so this is just, it's, if you think about like really what you said, creating our own supervillains, like that's what we do. And that's what we've done. And it's just, we are regarded way too highly, not so much anymore, but like up until like, Trump or whatever, we were still regarded as this like superpower and like America's, some people thought we were great, whatever, not everybody, but like way too many people liked us is what I'm saying. Like we have done too much hinky stuff that like is a lot of unforgivable stuff. And I don't know, it's just, we don't get it. That's not discussed enough. It should be talked about more.
So the War Powers Act or the War Powers Resolution, I just wanted to make the point that this has been around for months and Johnson would not bring it up to a vote. And suddenly today, they blocked it or it was voted down or whatever, Republicans. But here's the thing, we're already at
They were
war.
whipping those votes, right? Like that's what they were working on.
Well, he didn't want to bring it to the floor. Johnson was not going to do it. And here we are, we're already at war. So it's too late. So
That's what I'm saying. Don't we think that he brought it to the floor because he finally knew that they could securely defeat it?
Oh,
they had the votes. It was 219, 212, and 4 Democrats voted with the Republicans. So were those Republicans to stay? Because I think 2 Republicans voted with the Democrats. It would have been 216, 215. So he knew he also had those Democrats.
Yeah. Which again, rude.
So,
see, the Republicans always they don't have to worry about that. They always get their people to unify. Like they know when they. So this is a good example. Like he's a speaker, he brings it to the floor, and he knows how it's going to go. He's not like there are a few times he's been surprised, but for the most part, he's not, right? Like he knows what's going to happen. And I just feel like we are not always that way. And
well, it
I
speaks
wish we
to
were.
2 things as well. It speaks to Hakeem Jeffries' inability to keep the caucus together, but also, and I mentioned this before, that you don't need a majority. You need a majority that's enough to count on those Democrats that are going to flip, that are going to vote with the other side. So, both things need to be thought of in terms of the Senate, for instance. You don't need 51 to counteract the vice president. You need at least 52 to counteract Fetterman. You need to account for those votes that are always going to go the other way.
Plus a few more, because whatever. That's how we roll.
Well, and to that point though, we just don't have the numbers in the House. We do have compromised Democrats. I mean, including my former representative, Henry Cuellar. He is bought and paid for by Trump.
Yep.
He will never vote for it. He barely voted with us in the first place. Before the pardon, he voted almost 70% of the time with Trump as it was. He just wasn't dependable. But now with the pardon, since that pardon, especially this year, has voted with Trump. And before that, he voted for his confirmations, but he voted against, was the one Democrat voting for it to advance to the Senate. And with this, he's just a lost cause.
So subtle.
Yeah, I mean, but that is what happened, and that is what will happen. He has proven historically, and somehow this man just won his primary.
This is where I take issue, and I know this doesn't really matter because I agree with Chris that this has already happened. I still feel like the lack of unity is a problem, and it's going to be a bigger issue later on. So it's it's worth that we mention it real quick. But I take issue with the party not excommunicating these people because
that's what I was saying.
That's got to be done, and that's got to come from the top up. Right, we can only do so much in terms of putting candidates forward to primaries, but if you have an incumbent that they have an advantage. They have an advantage in fundraising. They have an advantage in staffing, everything. Their ground game, they've done it before. And if the party said you can't run, we're not going to support you, we're going to publicly excommunicate you, you have to be an independent, that would go a long way to help elevate some other candidates. I don't know why we're not doing that.
The tiniest of tiny baby steps forward this time is that leadership did not endorse Cuellar. That the tiniest of baby steps, the tiniest, because that's always happened before.
Yeah, that's some progress.
Right now, that has to be the next step because they cannot count on his vote. So they cannot whip the caucus together. We have to turn out the vote this year to flip the House, to flip the Senate, because it's just not going to happen otherwise to get the caucus together.
Yeah, and like I said before, the problem is history is not going to remember that he was bought by Trump. History is just going to remember that the Democrats couldn't pass legislation, and it's going to look like we were an inept party as opposed to having a bunch of Republicans on board with us.
Yeah.
So let's listen to what Chris Murphy had to say. I think it was yesterday.
room that there are going to be more Americans that are going to die, that they are not in the short run going to be able to stop these drones that are going to continue to fly into the Middle East. We have to have a debate in the United States Senate on an authorization of military force. It will likely fail. It will likely fail, and we shouldn't be voting to proceed to other pieces of legislation until we get a debate on this deeply unpopular, immoral, and illegal war with Iran.
And so they should have been, I mean, this should have been, at least with the War Powers Resolution, there should have been some debate, right? I mean, it should have been discussed, talk about, whatever. And I mean, once again, I wish Chris Murphy were minority leader in the Senate, because he always seems to say the right things and he's always out front. And Schumer, that should have been Schumer.
It was incredibly important to have the vote in both chambers, though, to get people on record. That will benefit us, unfortunately, long
10 years down the road.
Yeah.
Listen to Mike Johnson, and I honestly, I'm gonna need y'all to interpret this, because.
One last note: there's a misconception that Operation Epic Fury is in any way a diversion from Republican demands for peace. It's the opposite. Peace is not secured through appeasement, and it's certainly not secured by airdropping billions of dollars on terrorist regimes, which is what previous Democrat administrations had done. Peace is secured through strength. That is the principle that our party has stood for my entire life, and on principle before that, articulated the idea of peace through strength. That's what this administration is demonstrating, and that is why America is the last great superpower on the planet, and all freedom-loving people around the world are grateful to God for that.
What in the hell did he just say? Like, what did
I
he
think
just
that was
say?
a lot of what we call gaslighting.
I was just going to say, I don't know about y'all, but I don't think I've ever in my life felt this gaslit in a matter of months. Like, it feels like it's on a daily basis. And with him right now,
Him specifically, he does it all the time.
Every
I see it
time.
all the time.
Every time
And
his
then he brings
mouth
God
opens.
into it. He brings like the holy.
Yeah.
Like, what
Well,
the
and he
fuck?
uses the language like the enemy, and like he uses like a lot of biblical language. He knows exactly who his audience is. He knows how to talk in Fox News sound bites, and he knows that people are going to come and rip those and put those on the headlines. And it's like every time I see it, I'm like, we're being punked. Like, there's definitely, it's like he's doing it on purpose, and that's what makes it so frustrating, is because it's not just even like like he just
No.
someone find the skeletons in that man's basement, because I know they exist.
Please
Like,
do it
I
quickly.
know
They are
damn
there.
well.
Well, maybe they're on
there.
maybe they're on the porn feed that he shares with his son. I don't know, but you guys, once again, I have to explain this to you. I have to lawyer-splain this, right? You clearly don't understand that war is peace. War is peace.
It really is like lawyer speak. That's exactly what it is.
If we kill everybody on the planet, there will be peace.
This is how
No
you get
more
into law
war.
school. This is what the law school exams, the LSATs, is basically like this, right? Like, it's just get in there and write like the analytical part. Like, that's all.
Constitution. No, war is peace. That's all you need to know.
Can you make an argument for it? Then you're fine. Good job.
Oh my God, it is truly, truly frightening. And these people have actually, it's not just him. A number of them have come forward with this, well, this is a foray into peace, a preemptive strike to create peace. I don't know what the hell they're calling it.
Because he doesn't look like he's making money from this. And I understand that surely he has money somewhere. But if you look at his portfolio of assets, like, right, Mike Johnson looks like a humble man. Like, he looks like a humble man. And I'm like so he's either not directly benefiting from this, which would make sense because it's all about his holy war. Or he's got his money funneled up somewhere real tight that we can't track, because every time people go through it, he doesn't seem to be making money the same way other people are, because a lot of other people in this administration are definitely banking on this conflict with Iran. And that's gross. But Mike Johnson gets to be above that fray. So unfortunately, that also means that if this administration goes down, does Mike Johnson gets to stay because he's like separated himself out from all, and like he's always like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I haven't talked to like I don't know. Like I'm a baby. I don't know anything. Like he does that all the time. Like that's actually a running joke now on Threads. It's like, does Mike Johnson know anything about anything that's going on at all? Because he's like every press conference is like, I don't know. I haven't talked to the president. I don't know. Like don't know anything about that.
So
Don't
we
see
have
that,
this
right?
clip
Like
on
I'm
the
not
screen.
crazy.
We have this clip on the screen.
Right.
At least 175 people, including dozens of young girls between the ages of 7 and 12, were killed Saturday in an attack on in Tehran. So this was like one of the early tragedies, you know, like a school. But then the New Republic reported that it may have happened because we had outdated maps. Trump had outdated maps. So
Yeah.
good.
Their talking points, what they're saying to their people is that it wasn't us. It was Iran's bomb that fell. That was like their fault, like basically. Which again, even if that were the case, would still be our fault as the people that provoked them to defend themselves. But like you can't argue logic with these people. So anyway, I'm just letting you know that's the underground like justification, if there is such a thing, is that like we didn't actually do that. That's, you know, that's the lie. But I mean, I think for most of us that have morals and ethics, it doesn't matter because in any situation, there's 175 little girls that are dead.
Yeah.
And that is the fault of our country, this president specifically.
Yeah. Good God. Okay. Let's move on to Texas. So Tuesday night was something. That was the whole day, not just the night. The whole day was crazy.
The whole season was crazy. I'm surprised Lisa's still standing, honestly.
Yeah.
I am. Like, what a nightmare that was.
So the world, or at least the United States, was watching the Senate race. Tallarico won, but this was everything that led up to this was just. I'm so glad it's behind us, or at least that part is behind us for one. And there's a lot of things we can talk about, but like the day of the election where, you know, they changed the polling places. Lisa, why don't you're so everybody, Lisa, our co-host here is from Texas. So she can give us more information here.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us.
Okay. So the main counties, so going into the primaries, we're one of the early primary states. So this could be an omen of what's to come in other states as far as Republican fuckery goes with the primary elections. As it was, our websites were, as everyone knows, we were redistricted again illegally. And our websites by our Secretary of State and, of course, Ken Paxton, they were never updated with our new district. So there was problem number one. In some of our heavier blue districts, especially Dallas County and Williamson County, a lot of people are talking about that. That's just south of Travis County, which is Austin. Everyone that cannot afford to live in Austin lives in Williamson County, which is right underneath it. That's where I used to live when I worked in Austin. Williamson County is historically red, but it has started to change last year, and one of our special elections this year, where in Leander, a female Democrat became its first mayor in forever, like ever. They're very worried about that. So they changed it to where you used to be able to vote within your county anywhere for your election. And this year, the Texas GOP changed it for Democrats only, that you had to go to your specific precinct polling location. And they just didn't tell the voters that. And so
I think the really confusing part for folks is that early voting, you could go anywhere in the county. And it was just that day. All of a sudden,
it was just election day.
Yeah. So you had to go to your precinct and a lot. And then there are people. Let me show a clip here.
What is election day without a bit of drama, right? You know what? In Texas, yes.
Yes. So we got to talk about it. Earlier today in Dallas County, we got reports that there were some issues at polling places. A local judge got involved, saying polling locations were open till 9. Now, more breaking news with the Supreme Court.
Yes. So the Texas Supreme Court just said that's a no-go. So any vote that was cast after 7 o'clock until 9, about a half an hour ago, has to be set aside as a provisional ballot. So this started early this morning. People started noticing there was confusion because Dallas County is normally like Harris County, where you can vote anywhere within the county. But just today, it changed to more like Montgomery County, where it was you had to be assigned to a specific precinct. And people didn't know that. Not only at one precinct, if you're voting Democrat or Republican, you would be at a different poll site. So a lot of people were being turned away, and that was a lot of confusion.
And we saw that play out in real time, and folks were really upset about this. So now what does this mean and the implications here? Because we have James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett, 2 Democrats, and the race is very tight right now.
Yes, and then on the flip side, you have Ken Paxton, who's the Attorney General, whose office needed to be notified of the extension, and that was the challenge that led to this ruling. But also, he's running on the Republican side for this U.S. Senate seat. So the question now is, all of those ballots that were put aside, that were cast after 7 o'clock, are they going to be counted at all in this race?
That is going to be what we are watching.
So how crazy is it that Ken Paxton, who is on the ballot, is the Attorney General, and he put his thumb on the scale with the courts? Like, basically, because the courts had ruled earlier that you could, if you were, the polls would stay open later, because of all the confusion. And I want to play one other short clip here.
Where I live is far away, and I just wanted to vote here and get back to work, and she told me she wouldn't let me. I was hoping she'll just let me go in. She said I'm at the wrong place. I can't vote here.
I've always voted here, say, 8 years in a row now. I've come to this location, but now they're telling me that I need to go to another location to vote.
Did they explain why?
No, they didn't explain why. And then when I went online yesterday, because I knew they were going to try to do this, I went yesterday online to register and everything like that to find out where my poll is, and it got me nowhere.
He said it got him nowhere. And here's this woman who works, in one part of town, lives in another part of town, and it was far away. She thought she could vote near where she worked. So it's just a hot mess. I have never in my life, I bet you all can say this too, maybe not you, Lisa, because you're in Texas, but I've never in my life had to worry about, is my vote going to be counted? Never. And I live in California. Never. Yeah. And I think that is such a frustrating thought.
I did live in Florida, and I did vote in the 2000 election. So to be fair,
this was insane, because this was election day only, and no one knew, and there was no information anywhere. People were finding out when they got to the polling location to vote that they could not vote, and it was just going on and on. The judge said, okay, no, we need to extend this. And Paxton was ready for it. He was waiting. There's just this loophole that the Attorney General needs to be made aware of the extension request. He wasn't.
Because Lisa, was it true that the Dallas votes would have probably more so leaned towards Jasmine Crockett in terms of her favor?
We don't know for sure, but probably. She is from that area.
I'm saying, what was Ken Paxton's? Obviously they want to prevent as many Democratic votes as possible. And I just saw a thing before we jumped on the live that showed that actually the Democrats outpaced Republican voters by far.
Big time.
We broke in this election. Right. Which is fantastic. And that's bad for the Republicans, obviously.
Right.
But I was just wondering
and many of our margins in so many districts. Our average is plus 16. The voting averages were insane in this state, which is fantastic. It's really
great.
Is.
It's amazing.
And yes, it probably would have benefited Jasmine. And those votes are probably historically.
Do you think that
Paxton's been the AG are not going to be counted?
Was Ken Paxton? I was just wondering if you thought what was his motivation for
to decide who they're going to run against.
Right. And they
so
think that James Tallarico is an easier candidate, is what I'm asking?
No. Which is insane. So the GOP numbers, John Cornyn is running for his 5th term. He was, anyway, extremely popular with the Texas GOP. He always wins his elections. He clears 50%, usually by double digits. This time, he is going into a runoff with Paxton. Cornyn got 42%, Paxton got 40%. Those are incredibly bad numbers for the Texas GOP. So their runoff is in May. In theory, the easier candidate to win would be Paxton because he just has a laundry list of baggage. It's bad.
You mean
But he also
read or to win?
reincarnates. He
No, he's
reincarnates
also-
like
he's
he
also
somehow
the,
comes back from it.
No, he's also the sneakiest one to beat because he's underhanded. He is a criminal. But
Okay,
here's
so
the
let's-
thing. The moment he leaves office, as of right now, he's still the attorney general. He's lost that gig because he left it to run for Senate. The moment he is no longer in office, he is going to jail. His own party, the Texas GOP, they're the ones who brought him, who brought impeachment charges against him last time. He is not liked by the
I did a video on that.
Republicans. He's not liked by Trump. There's no lost love between him and his own party.
There's so much scandal, y'all. You need to Google him.
So,
Like,
I mean,
if you don't know, you need to know. It's crazy.
So he's going to
apparently-
do everything he can to win, and underhanded, dirty, sneaky tricks to win in May. I don't think he can do it, but he's going to try.
That's why I was wondering
for
why he
his
was putting
own
pressure
self-preservation.
for the Democratic votes not to count. Because obviously it was like more the Democrats that are in that area. It was disproportionately impacting them.
This is what Paxton does essentially every election, every
election.
large.
Yeah.
So this is, more of the same, and it's probably
Intentional chaos.
Oh, it's definitely intentional.
Yeah.
But probably in part to just completely deflate the Democratic Party in Texas, because you guys, as long as I'm in charge, you're never going to get the vote. So just stop trying.
Oh,
But
for
as
sure. And also,
But as Lisa also said, he's been, from what I understand, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong on this, he was impeached in the one half of the Texas legislature that can impeach, and he was they had the votes to convict him.
Yeah.
And
he
throw
was
him out of
saved by
office.
one vote.
And his wife, to be fair, his wife abstained though, I thought.
But she showed up, and because she was in chambers, she counted as the one person to save him because
was
she
nuts.
was there. So she was counted as present, and she is the person now suing him for divorce.
Because they
and
weren't
bringing
divorced
all
at
of
the
this-
time.
For
it's
biblical
saga.
reasons.
It's yes,
Whatever
well,
that
he had
means.
been having an affair with with the staffer for like how many years, and he was using campaign funds to Uber her around.
All of it.
It was nuts. Anyway,
And
but
because
so he
of all
also
that, I mean, there's a lot to come out.
Yeah. It's so
Anyway,
much.
and there's also just the simple. When it looks simple, it is. Jasmine is a fierce, qualified Black woman. To have her in the Senate in Texas, boy, is that a kick to the good old boy system. That being said, we do have a Democratic Senate candidate, and James Tallarico is our nominee. I've known him a really long time, and what we're going to need in this state is unity, especially from non-Texans who do not understand Texas politics or what goes on in this state. I just want to put a couple things out. Tallarico is not a Fetterman. He is not a Manchin. He is not a Sinema. He is a progressive in this state. He is the one, I'm sure everybody has seen a lot of viral clips of him prior to all of this mess happening. The Texas GOP puts out incredibly stupid legislation, like we need to stop teachers from putting kitty litter boxes in children's classrooms. Never happened.
I've also covered that story.
James
I'm in
is
Texas
the
a lot,
one
Lisa.
James is the one that you see in these clips. He's literally our bulldog that we put up, in chambers to fight back against this crap. And he has introduced a lot of very meaningful legislation in this state. He is going to be a good senator. So if you see any of these narratives going around that, oh, he's going to be the next Fetterman, I'm not quite sure how that started. He is not. He's not going to be a Fetterman. He is going to be a good senator here.
I don't think I think that it's what they're thinking is that like he won't be as the way that Jasmine Crockett, like the way that she fights.
Yeah.
I think the
right,
thought is
and
that they think he will
stylistically-
reach across the aisle, which is what he has indicated, but to our detriment. I'm going to play another clip, and then I want to make a point before we run out of time here.
Don't win. Would you support the Democratic nominee?
Yeah, there's.
So this is the day of the election, and it's also a follow up to the earlier clip. So I want to set that up here.
Democratic nominee.
Yeah, there's no way we need Cornyn or Paxton. I mean, at the end of the day, this is life or death right now. So we've got to do what we got to do. I do want to say that as someone who's been a surrogate across this country on behalf of a number of candidates, it is not as easy to get, say, the young woman that you were talking to have that same vigor for another candidate.
Wrong place and where I live is far away, and I just wanted to vote here and get back to work, and she told me she wouldn't let me. I was hoping she would just let me go in. She said I'm at the wrong place, I can't vote here.
Now I want you to take a look at this photo. After going to various polling places, she sent me this photo with her I voted sticker because she did vote and she wanted to vote for Jasmine Crockett. What will happen with the supporters that Jasmine Crockett has across this state? I asked her if she would support James Tellerico now that Crockett has lost. And she said that she is going to do her homework on James Tellerico. So she didn't say no, but she said that next time she's going to early vote because of all of the chaos and confusion that happened here in Dallas County yesterday.
So the point I'd like to make is that during this election, there was a lot of racism. I'm just going to say it. A lot of racism directed at Black women. And I don't think there should be no expectation that Black women who were targeted during this race would just come over and unify. Tallarico has work to do. His surrogates on social did that. So I think there needs to be, I don't think it should be expected that people that felt targeted, Black women are always the base of the Democratic Party, and they were basically sidelined, insulted, all the things, right? And now they're supposed to just come over. No, Tallarico has to reach out. He has to reach out and welcome them in. Now, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not a Black woman. I'm not a Texan. I have questions. What I am prepared to do for the Texas election, I'm just speaking for myself, I can do opposition against whoever the Republican nominee is. I wait and see. I have to see what Tallarico does, okay? If, I'll boost him if he does the right things, and I'm sure a lot of Black women will do the same thing, but I will fight the Republican. I will bring out their baggage once we know who it is. So in my opinion, Tallarico has until May, which is the runoff election, to shore this up and reach out. But it's not going to be just like, hey, kumbaya, we're together. I've seen social, and these are real women, that feel they were dragged, and there was real racism here. So I think that should be acknowledged. And I think in every race, it's up to the winner to welcome the camp of the loser, right? Not just an automatic expectation. So, and this has been a couple days. So we have to give this time for people to feel.
Yeah, it's fresh. It's fresh. And I think being sensitive to that is necessary and the bare minimum we can do. And I think that it's an important conversation to have and talk about, because other people may not be aware of that. They're so excited, they're person one, and not really, especially if they're not super chronically online or plugged in, there's going to be this expectation that they're well, yeah, why wouldn't you? And so I think that these conversations have to take place so people understand what's happened and why they can't and shouldn't just rely on Black women to just roll on over and do all the labor again, because it's just that's not, it's not their labor to do. But for that to be said, James Tallarico, if he's the leader that he's claimed to be and has shown to be up until this point, shouldn't have a problem enticing people and bringing people on board that are the people that look like me, who should be doing the work anyway. And then also Ken Paxton and John Cornyn are a fucking mess. And light years ahead of them
There's
is
a lot to
he.
talk
And
about with those two.
I'm saying I'll be busy.
Can
I could do
just-
that full
can I
time.
say one more thing on behalf of Texas here? Because I've heard it in a totally different way, and this is not discounting anyone. I'm a Jasmine Crockett voter. And the Latino vote came out huge.
Yeah.
For James Tallarico.
Yep.
Huge. And I am going to do everything in my power as a Texan, as a Texas advocate, activist, minority activist, healthcare activist, everything as a Latina to get the vote out for James. I also know him. I know Jasmine. I voted for Jasmine. I spoke with someone, a counterpart of mine in Pennsylvania yesterday, and she went off on Tallarico with the completely wrong narrative. And again, there's a lot of non-Texas talk out there.
What was her narrative?
What she didn't know, what she had no idea about, is my ethnicity. And she also mentioned how dumb we all were for voting for him. Like we, in general, as Mexican, I'm not going to mention her name, a counterpart, a disability counterpart in another state. She just, how stupid could us Hispanics be for voting for it? So it is on both sides. She is not the only one I've heard this about since the voting ended. There's a lot of discourse online just about how dumb we are to throw our vote behind him.
A very important thing.
It's going around everywhere. Both camps need to calm down. They're surrogates. I'm not saying the actual.
Yeah, my point is that give it a minute. It's like you can't expect unity like 3 days out or whatever. Exactly. Go ahead, Chris. You wanted to say something.
If we want to direct ire somewhere, let's not forget that it should be directed at the Republicans in the Texas legislature, because in addition to losing Jasmine Crockett, and her hand was forced to run for the Senate seat as she was, her district was eliminated. So we were looking at Jasmine Crockett as someone that maybe she would have been a phenomenal Speaker of the House. That path was cut off for her by the Texas Republicans. And then also you have Al Green and Christian Menefee, who were forced to run against one another. And so you're going to lose one of them by default. Again, the anger should be placed squarely at the Republican legislators of Texas.
But I don't think that negates what I was saying about what went on during this election. And I just do not think it's realistic to expect people to just put that aside a couple days in. I do think it's up to the winner to reach out and to say the right things. You can't just say, "Oh, let's unify and win." It's got to be more than that. He missed an opportunity. He could have had a John McCain moment and said, "You know what, guys, don't do this in my name." That would have went a long way. That would have been a video that we could have played and said, "Hey, he spoke up when he needed to." That didn't happen, so he's got to do it now.
It's his first congressional campaign, so he's going to make mistakes like that. Everybody does. And so how he rebounds from those mistakes, I think, is going to be what's the most significant. And so far, what we've seen is a lot of growth and evolution from him. So, I mean, I'm hoping for that, but I'm the same way as you. And I called it out really early because I was like, look, this is for me a leadership issue, because either you know what's happening and you are looking the other way, which is a problem, or you don't know what's happening, in which case that's also a problem, because you have to be able to have people that are plugged into this and understand what's happening on social media. And, it's not like it was just a couple people, right? Like this was prolific and it was like significant. And that leaves for me, especially as a woman, right? Like I'm not a Black woman, but I am a woman, and I had concerns. And so I will also be waiting and a little bit skeptical, but I also recognize that he's new to this. And so my biggest thing is how do you how do you show us that you're growing? Mistakes are okay as long as you're able to acknowledge that and move forward, like like learn from that and grow.
But guys, and I will freely admit that I did not concentrate on this race, and I did not see the posts that you guys were talking about. I tried to actually affirmatively stay out of this race because I thought that they were both excellent candidates, and I'm not from Texas, so I don't think that I right. So I didn't think that I should
didn't
be the
post
one to
until
tell
like
them.
the day of the election, just so you know. I didn't post anything until the day, like other than like there's a primary happening, like blah blah blah. I didn't have any personal opinions out there.
But let me play devil's advocate with you, right? Yes, I agree that Tallarico absolutely should reach out and should make amends and should make everybody much happier, kind of the way Mamdani tried to do in New York City with the Jewish population. But this sounds to me kind of like people voting against Kamala for Gaza.
Yeah.
Look where that got us.
Adam, that was a whole nother thing. The minute she announced, I mean, it was insane. The amount of it was insane. She's back pocket of AIPAC, even though she never took $1 from AIPAC. I mean, it's just.
But my point is, look where that got us, right?
Right. But
I
we agree with you, but I think that it's kind of like, okay, when you have kids, what's the thing that you know not to do? If you don't want them to do something, what do you not do? Like, you don't go, hey, don't ever do this, because that's the first thing they're going to do is, right, go touch that stove or go do the thing. They're going to push the boundaries. And so, like, if you come out, like, with this large, loud expectation for a Black woman to behave a certain way, then, of course, they're going to be even more resentful about it. Whereas if you step back and just have some sensitivity and some understanding and give them some time and space and put some expectations on James Tallarico, because he is a grown-ass man, right? And he should be able to do this, right? Like, don't infantilize him. He's capable of doing this, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a critical situation. It can just be like, let's step back, give them space, hold space for them, don't have expectations for them. Let's all, the rest of us, unify together behind him and do the work that's necessary. Like, it doesn't need to have to be a contentious situation. It just has to be a situation that has room for respect and space. And that's just, I mean, to me, I think the larger mistake would be to have that expectation and be really loud and in their face about it, because you're going to get the opposite effect of what you want.
That would be stupid.
I did see a clip of him on election night saying, I know it's my job to bring you in, that I know it's my job to work.
And it's only been a couple of days. So
he's saying the right
he needs to store that shit up.
I would hope that
people on board.
Yeah.
And no matter what he says, I'm sure it's not going to be enough for everybody.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's only been a few days, and I'm sure he will say something soon, even more unifying. And the most important thing, like everyone has said, we've got to get the Texas GOP out.
Absolutely.
We just have to.
And he just has to go into the communities and, like he was doing before, but like really go in to the communities that he may not have been their choice. And I mean, this is not new. This is not a playbook that has never been done before. My point was, like, you can't just have an expectation, especially when it was such a contentious race. And a lot of the negativity was directed at Black women. So
and it needs to be said.
He's got to fix that, not us. Honestly,
and we need to be guarding, like you were just saying, we need to be guarding that on social media. And I think that that's important, like to watch our tone and to watch the way that we speak, especially to Black women. And I think that that's like important to take into consideration. It should be done. I'm excited about the candidate for governor. Like, listen, I know everybody's reeling. Like, I'm in Texas a lot, like doing Texas work a lot too. So I don't live there, but I have, like, my heart is with you. And the way that I need to get Abbott out of his office, like he's like, there's like a top 10 of candidates that I have. Like, okay, Josh Hawley is one, Greg Abbott's another. There's like these people where I'm like, I'm gonna not only outlive these motherfuckers, but I'm gonna make sure that they are in jail or at least out of office. And like Abbott is like right there at the like real in the bottom of the worst of the worst.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
think that
motivated.
the Senate race got so much attention.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it did.
Tina Hinojosa is our very amazing Dem candidate for nominee for governor. So I did put something out about her. Hopefully, people saw it, but she's amazing. And so we're very excited for her.
I'm excited to learn about her and do work for her.
There she
So
is.
these are the winners from Tuesday in various states. And just, as we wrap up tonight, the CTA is really spread the word, check your status, make sure you're registered, understand your requirements in your state. I mean, I will say this, and it's sad, but especially in red states, because this kind of shenanigans goes on all the time, where they change polling locations, they short the ballots at the locations.
Vote early.
Vote early, yes. And that, like, people in Texas, they had a difficult time too voting early. They didn't bring the right proof of residency and those kind of things, and they had to go back home. There's stories of that too, a lot of them. But they had time to do it. They had time to fix it. On voting day, if you don't have what you need, you're in a panic. And the worst thing, the worst thing is not to get to vote, but provisional ballots are not ideal. They are not, because they're not counted unless there's a reason to. They're just sitting there.
Right.
So
I think the big thing Texas can teach all the other states is how important voter education is for everyone, and to be proactive about that. It's almost like we were caught off guard, but there was just so many extra fuckery things going on. But be proactive with voter education, what to bring, what to look up ahead of time, just in case. Know where your precinct polling location is, because you just never know when they're going to pull the rug out from under you on election day, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Griffin,
North
you have
Carolina.
Anything to add, Griffin?
Way better than anything I can add. But North Carolina had the same problem as Texas, because people showed up not because North Carolina necessarily did anything wrong, but because all these people showed up not knowing where they were supposed to be on the day of, thinking that they could vote wherever they wanted to, like they did in early voting. It was kind of the same thing. So like Lisa, I'm going to say this again, it's happening in every single state where people are showing up on the day of the election and they're in the wrong place. And that's can't happen at this point. We don't have going into the general, in the midterms, we need every single vote we can get, and we can't risk losing yours. And not to mention the fact that Adam brought this up on an earlier live, and it's a really good point, and I will continue to yell it every single live, which is, if you live in a safe district, especially in a red state, and you can vote early, you need to do that so that you can then go help others in places and precincts that aren't safe. So we need you on the ground. And this is really important for everybody to start getting plugged in. And I dropped the ball on this, my bad, because I was going to try to figure out if we could find organizations that are kind of plugged in more so regionally that you can connect with, but we'll find some. Anyway, you're going to have to find a way to connect to your community and get in at the local level, because that's how you're going to be a key player here. And we really do need everybody participating that way.
And there's so many
early
ways to do
voting
it.
everywhere.
I want to address something that was in the comments. Someone said there may not be midterms, and I want to say this. That sounds like giving up to me. What we cannot do is accept something like that. We have to acknowledge the fact that Trump is trying to federalize the elections. I think these are conversations we need to have. They are threatening to use, his secret police, ICE, to intimidate people. These are things we should expect, but we have to fight them. So I feel like just saying midterm elections aren't going to happen is passive. It's kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to give up. We are not going to give up. We are going to fight. We are going to vote, and we are going to protect each other. We're going to stay vocal, and this is how we handle those kind of things. Before midterms, we're going to have protection lines that everybody's going to know. We're going to make sure those numbers are spread out and that are sent out so that you can report these things. We have social media. If you see shenanigans, go on social, spread the word.
Take video where you can. Get a video of it.
So we are not passive here. We are not.
But I want to say that statement. I still
Yes.
say midterms may not even happen. You can say that, but I need you to tag it with, so therefore we're going to get super involved and make sure that we are plugged in to prevent that from happening, right? Like, so it's fine to have the fears, and I don't want you to invalidate people's fears, because obviously this administration is scary and they've done some really fucked up shit. So it's like, don't invalidate that, but use it and reframe it as a way to get people involved and empowered in our system of elections, because the more ownership they can have in these state and local elections, like, which obviously then like relates to the congressional elections, then like the safer we're going to be as a democracy, as a republic, but also the more invested they become in ownership of their government, and all of that together, working together, will eventually is going to win and outpace the Republicans. So like, that's not just fairy tale speak, that's the truth. Like, that's how it works. Like, when people show up and people pressure, like if you notice what happened with Kristi Noem, there's a reason that happened, right? Because they stayed on it. They drew her in, they questioned her. It was embarrassing. Right now they've subpoenaed Pam Bondi. They're going to do the same thing. And even if they do keep replacing them with monsters, it's still disrupting them. And so like, having the fears is okay, but we have to combine the fears with action so that we can prevent it. And I just want to make sure everybody sees that. So like, don't yell at people for having fears, but encourage them to reframe it.
And just know that we're fighting. We're gonna fight this. Like, I'll march on this. Like, we march on the White House if this shit happens. No, we are voting.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's put in the work, folks. We can do this.
Yeah,
we can all do this. If we do it together, we can absolutely.
If you're ever gonna see the Democrats have a majority as the party they are right now, it is this midterm election. You better grab it by the balls, and you better make it happen.
So on that note, join us, everyone, every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. These conversations are important. And honestly, I think this week was exceptionally crazy, but almost every week is nuts. So we always have a lot to talk about here. So we will see you next Thursday night. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.